Hi everyone, welcome to 28 COE Talks. The idea of this short talk is to let you know who our members are and discussing briefly about their areas of expertise. Today I am with Lori Paul from the USA, who is a certified life coach through ICF, that is International Coaching Federation. She is a national certified event interventionist and certified family recovery coach. She works in the substance use disorder and mental health space. She has done BA in journalism and MA in sociology. She is a former flight attendant for the US Airways and EAP peer counselor for the flight attendants. Now she has her own life coaching business. So, Laurie, we hear a lot about substance use disorder, but I want to bring the viewers' attention on the family, the loved ones who are also suffering along with the person who is actually having this disorder. So, what about that? Because you are handling with those families and people, right? So, can you talk something about that?
Yes, so thank you very much for the opportunity this evening to talk about what I find to be a very important subject. I work in the substance use disorder and co-occurring mental health field, and I've been in this area for a little while. And what I started to notice is we're all helping our clients get into treatment. We want them to do well. We want them to have a wonderful life in recovery. But many, many times, the family, the loved ones, the friends, and even the co-workers kind of get lost in the shuffle. And they're the ones that have been there alongside this individual, encouraging them, a lot of times begging them. Tears are being shed, hoping that they'll get help because we're so worried the disease is going to take over and they're not going to make it. Once somebody gets into treatment, that focus continues on them as a loved one. Again, the same categories I talked about: friends, family members, coworkers. We don't let go. We're still in that tense mode, that crisis and chaos, if you will, that fight or flight mode, because we're worried about them. Are they going to make it? Are they going to do well? What's going to happen when they come back out? And many of us are so used to living in that way that we don't know how to be anything else. Our entire identity is tied into their substance use disorder. So today I wanted to really speak to those that are listening. If this is you, it's very important that you stop right now and say to yourself, it's time for me to get help. It's time for me to get my treatment. What I mean by treatment is, when was the last time you went to your primary care doctor? When was the last time you went to the dentist? Are you struggling financially because you've helped this loved one get into treatment and you've paid for their bills and their insurance and whatever, and it put you into financial ruins? What are you doing for yourself? Part of the problem is we feel guilty. We feel if we don't keep on this mode, that we're not showing that we love them. Perhaps we blame ourselves. Maybe we think we weren't there enough for them. Whatever it may be, we continue to beat ourselves up. We're the punching bag, if you will. And we're dying inside. Many people have, sadly found out they have serious health problems because they've been so focused on that person in their life that's struggling that they skip their appointments. They put themselves last. And then lo and behold, something happens. And they are forced into, the doctors or maybe even to surgery. Our identity is tied into being the mother of somebody that's struggling, the father of somebody who's struggling, the friend of somebody who's struggling. We lose who we are. Like, what were we before that even happened? We don't know how to live any other life.
So it is not just about the person who is actually going through substance disorder. It is more about the family members and the loved ones, right? So, okay, you said what we should do. The first thing that, we should not feel guilty. But are there things that we should not do? One is, if you can tell some things that we should not do as a family member or as a loved one.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question, and it can be difficult at times because I think every person has a different situation. But what we should not do, number one, no matter what, is neglect ourselves in this equation. I mean, you hear people say to provide tough love, or, don't let them live with you, the person that you love. I can't provide that type of advice because every situation is different and every family's dynamic is different. What I can do is say, you cannot want that treatment more than they do, because you can't force them to go. That is the hardest thing in all of this, is understanding that you can be there for them, you can love them, but if they're not willing to go, that's going to be a very hard thing to live with and sleep with at night. So that's why I think it's so important that you have a support system. You're the support system for them, but you need your support system. And that can be in a lot of ways. It can be other family members, friends. I highly suggest, again, getting that complete overhaul medically, doctors, dentists, vision, you name it. But when it comes to your entire body, that's inside your mind as well. I think that's so important. So I'm talking about therapists, life coaches. As I am a life coach, we are not therapists, but we will help you regain that identity, help you transform into who you're going to be now. You can't stay in that same identity because your loved one is changing. Once they go into treatment, they're going to change. We don't know what that's going to look like. If they don't go into treatment, they're going to continue to change. But if you live in that crisis and chaos, that's all you're going to know. You're not going to know how to function in any other way, and you will struggle.
As a life coach, you must have come across many clients with such issues. Can you share any of your stories in short, if you have any very different kind of an experience with somebody?
Yeah, what I can say to you, just as a blanket statement, because I cannot talk about anybody due to privacy and confidentiality, the HIPAA. But what I can say to everybody is, as long as someone is breathing, there is hope for them. It doesn't matter how many times you've tried, how many times you've been into treatment. A lot of times what keeps people from getting help is the stigma of saying, I struggle with alcohol, I struggle with drugs, I struggle with mental health. And the same thing goes for the family members. Sometimes they are saying, I can't come forward and ask for help because we cannot let anybody know what's happening in our family. We can't. It has to be a secret. So we try to heal in secret. We're not equipped to do that. We need the professionals, the ones who have been doing this. There are individuals much like myself. I'm not in recovery. I grew up in a home where I lived the life of someone that struggled with alcohol. And later on in life, I dated someone who struggled with alcohol, was physically abusive to me. But I bring that expertise on how to survive that, whereas I work with other individuals in this career of mine that are in recovery. So they're strong in their recovery. They can relate to someone struggling because they've been down a similar path. So they can kind of parallel and help them gain that traction and say, look at me, but I put this work in, and I know it's going to be hard, but you can do it. Sometimes you just do it 1 minute at a time. Whereas I can talk to the family members about what happens when you stay stuck and you can't move forward, and the person you love isn't moving forward, so that you think you shouldn't move forward.
Okay, fine. Finally, Laurie, it was great talking to you. Thank you so much for sharing this insight on this very critical topic, and thanks a lot.
Thank you. I appreciate your time.